which button to hit. My 4-step self-teaching framework, aka the SCAR method. And why yes, I did spend an unreasonable amount of time coming up with an acronym. Step 1, select. Choosing your topic is essential because your interest in it will determine how far and deep you go. You want to avoid topics you think you should know and focus on what you're genuinely drawn to. For example, as an American, I know I probably should study Spanish. I would get way more use out of it than classical Latin, but about 50% or so of English is Latin. And as a writer, I want to better understand where the words I write come from. If no topic immediately jumps out to you as one you want to study, I recommend just taking a few days, maybe a week, just being conscious of where your attention is drawn. And here you can actually put your For You page to work. Do you maybe tend to stop scrolling on cooking videos? Well, have you considered maybe studying food science or proper cooking technique? Or are you a true crime devotee? If so, maybe you actually want to study forensics. In my experience, your interests will start closer to home and connect more to things you're already doing, and then expand outward as your sphere of knowledge grows. Step 2, curate. Locate your resources. I find this stage exceedingly fun because it's the first official foray into an exciting new topic, and we are truly blessed to have nearly everything we could ever want to know at our fingertips all the time, largely for free. That said, it's very easy to get overwhelmed by the sheer amount of information out there, and that's why I implement a rule of 3. 1 foundational text, 1 expert to follow, and 1 active community. To go back to my Latin study, that looks like my foundational text is the textbook Familia Romana. My expert is Steve Kaufman's language channel here on YouTube, and my active community is r/Latin. I plan to go more in depth on where exactly to find study resources in a future video, but it doesn't have to be complicated. To find a foundational text, a quick Google on your topic plus books will find you a list of essential reading, or of course you can ask your local librarian for guidance. Your expert can be a teacher, a tutor, a course if you're able, but if not, there is a wealth of experts creating quality content on YouTube. And a community can be a meetup group or a study group in your area, a smart friend, or something as simple as a subreddit. Step 3, apply. If you've ever heard of the Feynman technique, this stage will sound familiar. Physicist and Nobel laureate Richard Feynman developed a learning technique that focused on simplifying concepts for better understanding. After selecting and studying your material, he wants you to teach it to a child. That means you have to present the information in plain English as simply as possible, but in order to do that, you have to thoroughly understand it. If you can't explain what you're studying in the most basic terms, free of jargon, you probably don't understand it that well. And I'm sure this is something we've all experienced. When you're trying to explain something to someone, and as you're talking, you realize, I don't know how to put this into words. Now, you don't need to literally find a kid and teach him macroeconomics, although bonus points if you do. Simply imagining and writing down what you would teach a student can be enough to test your understanding and help you identify weak spots. The Feynman technique is great for conceptual topics like literary theory or abnormal psychology, but I don't think it quite addresses more practical or technique-based things you might want to learn. Things like baking, pottery, or an instrument. In those cases, regularly ask yourself this question: what am I doing and why am I doing it? Say you're baking a cake, and you need flour, sugar, butter, eggs, baking powder. It's one thing to know you need to put them together in specific proportions in order to get a cake, but it's a whole different level of understanding to know why. What does the butter do, the egg do, the flour? Why bake on 350 instead of 400? In short, applying your newfound knowledge, or knowing why you're applying your new knowledge, is the key to self-education that sticks. Finally, step 4, reflect. After you've taught your topic to someone, literally or figuratively, the gaps in your knowledge will be apparent. What did you have trouble explaining? What technique didn't you understand? Conversely, what new insights did you have? And have you made any connections between different concepts? Is there anything you're curious about? Reflection doesn't have to take much time or energy. I usually do a weekly audit, which is just a page in my commonplace book where I jot down the progress I've made and the questions I have, plus any insights that come up. The following week, I prioritize my weak spots before carrying on to new material. From here on out, you'll be cycling between stages of application and reflection and curating new resources as you progress. What I love about this system is that it develops your analysis and critical thinking skills alongside whatever it is you're studying, because you're evaluating yourself. No one is grading you. Self-teaching puts yourself back in the driver's seat of your own brain. Now, before you go drive that brain, you should be aware of these two common pitfalls. The beginner blues. We've all been there. You start learning something new and you're loving it, but you just want to be an expert already. Maybe it's a language you want to speak fluently or an advanced piece of music you want to play, but the idea of getting from here to there is so daunting that you wonder if it's even possible. It absolutely is possible. So I started knitting around 14 or 15, and I'm entirely self-taught through YouTube University. And for months on end, I knit scarf after misshapen scarf when what I really wanted to knit was my own clothing. It did take me a good 6 or 7 years before I felt I finally had the skill to knit a garment that fit properly. But now I'm at a point where probably about a third of my wardrobe is hand knit or crocheted, and that's pretty freaking cool, and certainly would not have happened if I rage quit all those years ago. And now I'm knitting this top. So if you're battling the beginner blues, ask yourself this question. Do I love what I'm learning enough to endure the growing pains? Maybe your answer is no, and you only want to skip to expert level because you're not truly enjoying the process or the material. In that case, I give you permission to quit and try something new. But if your answer is yes, I beg you, do not give up when the going gets rough, because eventually that love of the work will get you to where you want to be. Alternately, you might love being a beginner so much that you keep starting to learn new things, but don't make much progress on any one of them. You're so committed to self-education that every time a new interest grabs you, you dive right in. Love the energy, love the enthusiasm. But the irony is that learning becomes the new scrolling. Starting a new project gives you that same hit of dopamine that scrolling to a new TikTok would. In my experience, shiny object syndrome is a particularly easy trap to fall into when you're new to self-education because you're still breaking away from that endless algorithm mindset. It's totally natural to want variety. I know I need quite a bit of it myself to stay engaged, but instead of getting that variety by switching between topics, vary the methods and the materials you use in one topic. I'll use language learning as an example again. Instead of studying Greek, then Korean a few weeks later, then German after that, stick with Greek, but alter how you study it. Maybe read a short story on Monday and then do grammar drills on Wednesday. Listen to a podcast Friday and then speak with a partner on Sunday. That way each study session feels new and different, but you're still going deep into one area instead of simply dipping your toes into several. In the beginning of the video, I asked myself the question, how do I get back to who I used to be? Self-education is the answer to that question, not only because the process strengthens the cognitive function that I've been neglecting, but also because the entire effort is emblematic of the person I truly know myself to be. And if you watched this far, who you are too. Someone who is curious about the world around them, who wants to explore new ways of thinking, who values knowledge for its own sake. Someone who wants to experience life directly, not have it boiled down and served to them on a pocket-sized platter. Well, that is it for me today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, which is the easiest and fastest